With the CBC Morning Report for today, Tuesday, May 23rd, I'm Tisha Hines. Good morning. In our top story, as the June 1st deadline for the United States to avoid defaulting on its trillion-dollar debt draws near, experts say that the country's failure to act will spell economic disaster for the global economy. Professor Justin Robinson, Pro-Vice Chancellor of the Board of Undergraduate Studies at the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill campus, says a U.S. default would reverberate through the global financial market and negatively impact Barbados.
There's a real threat that the U.S. can default on its government bonds and government securities. And that's where we're going to see the most immediate impact on Barbados if that were to happen. Because U.S. government assets are central to the global financial system. They are currently seen as the safest asset in the world. So if they default on those assets, then there's going to be a knock-on effect. And we're going to see a spike. If it happens, we would see a spike in global interest rates. And we already saw that effect discussed weeks ago. And importantly for us, the value of U.S. government bonds can decline, and much of the vast majority of Barbados government's foreign exchange reserves are held in US dollar assets. So we could see a significant diminution in the market value of our foreign exchange reserves. We could see a spike in global interest rates, which then enhances the potential for a major global economic recession with all of those negative consequences for us.
Meanwhile, Professor Robinson says the recent IMF review of Barbados is good news.
It reinforces the notion that we are having a strong post-COVID recovery. And I certainly would want to commend the government on the outstanding job it's doing in managing the public finances, because the IMF targets and the IMF report is really based heavily on how well the government is managing its public finances. And the government has done an outstanding job of those finances and really managing a significant recovery in those finances since they've been in government in 2018. And that strength in the public finances provides a solid platform for other aspects of economic growth. So I think it's quite good news and important news.
Now on to a heart-wrenching story as Guyana continues to experience a period of national mourning following the deadly fire that took the lives of 19 children. Much of the attention has started to shift to the cause of the blaze and finding those responsible, as initial investigations have suggested it was maliciously set. The revelation came during a media conference held yesterday to give an update on the fire. A representative from the Guyana Fire Service says fire officials were swift to respond to the deadly blaze, getting to the scene in about 4 minutes. But on arrival, the building was already engulfed in flames.
Approximately 3.5 hours after which brought the fire under control and subsequently extinguished same. The initial investigation by the fire service identified that the fire was maliciously set. Also, the point of origin was identified to the southwestern end of the building. After we would have completed our initial investigation, the scene was handed over to the Guyana Police Force.
Well, the Guyana Police also gave an update from their end.
Initial investigation suggests, like was reported from fire, that it was maliciously set, and so our investigation is continuing. I must say this though, DNA tests will be done with the 13 remaining bodies expeditiously. We have completed the postmortem on 6 of the bodies. I want to reiterate on behalf of the force, my condolences going out to the family. We will conclude this investigation swiftly.
Meanwhile, the Guyana Defense Force gave an overview of the full rescue and response effort, noting they received a call from Medic VAC assistance around 11:15 on Sunday night, sparking a massive mobilization of agencies and resources from all of the national emergency services, along with private businesses.
These assets included 5 aircraft, 6 ambulances, and over 80 emergency, medical, and security personnel. As you would know, those who are here, last night there was bad weather. And because of this, we had some concerns of flying into this area. However, our pilots, and I want to publicly thank them, despite this, the pilots were determined to execute this medical evacuation operations. The resultant of this national effort saw successful extraction of 9 of the injured female students in 3 separate medical evacuation flights from this location to Georgetown.
Speaking to his nation last evening, Guyana's President Irfan Ali appealed to Guyanese to come together and be supportive.
This is a pain that we must carry as a nation and as a family. It is a pain that we must share together. It is a pain that we must support in our prayers. These families and children require from us now, as a country and as a family, unflinching prayers, love, and support.
Dr. Ali has committed the country's full support to the children and families and has announced national mourning.
We utilize the next 3 days as 3 days of prayers for these children, their families, community. I'm now announcing 3 days also of official national mourning, and as of 4 p.m. today, all our flags must be flown at half-mast in honor of these children. We have already mobilized full counseling service for the children, their families, and community members. That service will have already started.
Prime Minister the Honourable Mia Amor Motley has offered condolences and pledged to support the Cooperative Republic of Guyana following the devastating fire that struck the Mahdia Secondary School, claiming the lives of 19 children. In a statement yesterday, Prime Minister Motley said, "What has happened in Guyana is a tragedy that words simply cannot describe." She added, "It's a moment in which Barbadians and the entire Caribbean join with Guyana in sharing their pain and loss as we rally with our Caribbean friends and family to aid in the healing and rebuilding process." We're going to take a break and come back and give you an update on what's coming up on Morning Barbados. Stay with us.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@.
The Barbados Meteorological Services has discontinued the flood and severe thunderstorm watches issued yesterday. Heavy rains were dumped on Barbados yesterday, particularly in Speightstown. The change in weather prompted the issuing of a flood and severe thunderstorm watch as a result of a mid to upper level trough. The resultant flooding created challenges for the commuters in the northern town. Some people in the area believe the flooding could have been avoided.
All here, especially this one, this carry sand. So when you see it's rough, it back up the sand in this particular manhole. So all it was I just show you, that's carrying the water. So in other words, it can't go. But this manhole here needs cleaning. You clean it very often, but it still backs up. The sand still backs up in it. And right now, as you can see, the sand is right to the top. Okay, that's the problem.
The drains down here, there's a lot of bottles and things that inside the drain. That's what got all of it blocked up right now, the sand and everything. So I know to clean those. I know to come out and get a long pipe and clean those. But right now, them stop me from working for a bit now. And I demand for someone that's clean the drains. All up Station Hill, all over. But right now, down by the Bridgetown Fish Market, by the Esplanade, it's really bad. So we would really like it that the water could drain off. So
time to preview what's coming up on Morning Barbados. There will be conversations on CARICOM today as Ambassador Commercion gives us a report on the Association of Caribbean States Council meeting that he is attending. Also, we're telling you about the Caribbean Wax Museum. A few new depictions of CARICOM icons are present. We'll bring you up to speed. Plus, the next chapter today takes on a book called Tears of Diaspora. And we also are going to be telling you about the BIDC Farmers Market and Health Fair. Of course, an update on Ras I's big celebration will also be a part of this morning's presentation. That's all coming up on today's presentation of Morning Barbados. We're going to take a break and come back with more news, sports, and weather after this.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries.
A number of standards are being developed for firefighters in the Caribbean and South America. Recently, regional fire chiefs signed a memorandum of understanding between the Caribbean Association of Fire Chiefs and the Institution of Fire Engineers Caribbean and South America branch in the Dominican Republic. Barbados Chief Errol Maynard signed on behalf of Barbados and as president of the CAFC. The chair of the IFE-CASA, Alan Sobrero of Trinidad and Tobago, also signed. The partnership aims to strengthen the alignment with CAFC's operational structure and objectives, which seeks to unify and upgrade emergency response to potentials and techniques. It also aims to promote, encourage, and improve the science and practice of fire extinction, fire prevention, and fire engineering, and all related operations across the Caribbean region. The MOU strategically aims to promote standardization, competence, and best practices across the fire sector and all fire-related fields, along with other areas of cooperation via a unified approach. Chief Maynard says CAFC has been working hard toward this day.
We have shown that commitment to the development of the fraternity in the Caribbean, and also to extending IFP into the region of the Caribbean. And as CAFC's president, we embrace it wholeheartedly, because one of our aim is not only to protect the people we serve, but also to develop our staff personally and professionally. And as we send this document, this MOU today, it's a reflection of our commitment for the development of the fire engineering and fraternity within the Caribbean.
Meanwhile, Mr. Sobrero says the engineers have received lots of support from the regional fire chiefs.
This is something that we have always projected in terms of building partnership, strengthening our resolve in terms of enabling fire professionals, taking a risk-based approach to standardization, collaboration, and certification, and preventing fires, protecting the environment, saving lives, protecting the asset and the continuity of survivability of business. So this is the start of a journey that we believe for a sustainable future. We're committed to it, and I just want to thank all who have contributed meaningfully in making it a reality. So thank you so much for being part of this engagement and part of the partnership. I just want to extend my congratulations and say thank you.
Individuals should use artificial intelligence, or AI, but not to disadvantage local jobs. New media artist Chris Welch, who will be part of the AI sessions being put on by the Center for Hybrid Studies in June, says while the technology is good, some may use it to the detriment of society.
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine over the weekend. He's an IT professional, runs a call center in Barbados. He's a cybersecurity professional. And we were talking about AI and the implications for his business. And he said to me, well, Chris, there will come a stage when I can use an AI to run my call center. I can use an AI to run my cybersecurity operations. And I don't need my staff. I said, well, what about your social responsibility? He said, well, Chris, if my competitors are doing the same thing, I need to follow suit. So we can see how the disruption is coming. And the other thing I want to say too is, back to what the GM said about getting out a bit more philosophical, the AI itself is not sentient now. It will appear so because we tend to project onto it. But there will become a point in time when it will become sentient. It might be 10, 15, 20 years old. When that happens, then what do we as humanity do?
Meanwhile, artist and educator Russell Watson says the question has come to the fore as to whether or not AI has the capacity for creativity.
What is the kind of philosophical, metaphysical questions that we're involved in here? AI is presenting something very, very broad for us to consider philosophically, and I'm glad to be to be asked to be part of the discussion as an artist and an educator, and I look forward to the outcomes.
Veteran entertainer Adrian A.C. Clark will indeed be hosting a Soca Monarch competition this year. The Calypsonian said some weeks ago that he would endeavor to host the competition after the National Cultural Foundation opted out. He says his version will be a Soca Rumble on July 31st.
Thanks to the team at Bushy Park we'll be having the Soca Monarch on July 31st. So come on out, there'll be lots for you to come and see. You can expect to see your favorite entertainers hopefully get into the finals. All that be made public, how they can get into the competition and what they can do as far as entering. It'll be solo acts only, no duets. And it is soca versus soca versus soca in the Soca Rumble, which means you can have sweet soca, you can have the power soca, and you can also have the bashment soca. So all genres of soca can enter the competition.
Well, Facebook owner Meta has been fined a record 1.2 billion euros, approximately $1.3 billion, for transferring EU user data to the United States.
A record fine for Meta from the Irish Data Commission, $1.3 billion for breaching Europe's general data protection regulations, for sending the personal information of millions of European Facebook users to the US without properly protecting them from potential US surveillance, as well as the fine and order for Meta to stop transferring US data to the US within the next 5 months. Meta says it will appeal the ruling and called the fine unjustified and unnecessary. In a statement, they said, "We are disappointed to have been singled out when using the same legal mechanism as thousands of other companies looking to provide services in Europe. This decision is flawed, unjustified, and sets a dangerous precedent for the countless other companies transferring data between the EU and US."
Majority of Facebook users in Europe probably weren't aware that their personal information stored on the platform could be vulnerable to US surveillance, nor that a ruling like this could see Facebook in Europe suspended. But a new pact to facilitate the safer transfer of their data to the US is in the pipeline and will be fully functioning by summer, avoiding any Facebook disruption.
The EU says the new system will give better protection to users.
We're finalising a framework for data protection between the EU and the US. We expect this to be fully functional by the summer, and this will guarantee stability and legal certainty, both to support these businesses and would also guarantee strict protection of the private lives of citizens.
But privacy experts say this new framework won't fully protect EU citizens.
The United States does not have a data protection or privacy federal law that protects non-American in the way they protect American. And what it's been particularly problematic for many, many years has really increased when tech giants are monetizing personal data of millions of us around the world, while there is not this federal level of protection for information, both on the commercial sector and then the scope of surveillance law in the US is so broad.
The case dates back 10 years when US intelligence whistleblower Edward Snowden warned that tech giants were handing data to US surveillance agencies. In 2022, the European Court of Justice warned tech companies to ensure user data was safe, but they feel Meta did not listen.
The administration of Colombian President Gustavo Petro has announced it is suspending a ceasefire agreement with a rebel group accused of killing 4 indigenous people in a recent attack. The government said on Monday that it will resume attacks on the Estado Mayor Central Group, a splinter of the now disbanded Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, which was once the country's largest rebel group.
Gustavo Petro says the military has resumed offensive operations in the south after fighters from a dissident faction of the FARC targeted an indigenous community. He says children were forcibly recruited by the guerrilla group and were killed when they tried to run away. The FARC dissident guerrillas refused to join a 2016 peace deal which saw most of the rebels lay down their weapons. Alessandro Rampietti has more from Bogota.
President Gustavo Petro made the announcement after an indigenous group accused the EMC, or Estado Mayor Central, of being behind the murders of the 4 miners. They say that they first forcibly recruited the miners and then killed them when they tried to flee. Petro called the murders atrocious, said that this was a major blow to peace. While this armed group, the EMC, responded in a statement instead blaming the government for the end of the ceasefire ceasefire, saying that they have been subject to continuous military operations and that these suspensions will only bring further violence in the region. The government and the EMC were supposed to start formal peace negotiations on May 16th, but those have been postponed. It's unclear what will happen now. Here, this is seen as another major step back in Colombia's and Petro's ambitious plans to achieve what he calls total peace in the country. He's trying to negotiate peace deals with all armed groups of political origin still operating in the country and surrender deals with drug trafficking groups. This group in particular, the EMC, is the main dissident groups of former FARC rebels that reached a peace deal with the government back in 2016. They rejected that deal and continued operating. But there has been a lot of criticism here on Petro because they say that the government has been quick in offering carrots to these groups, but very little in terms of sticks. And overall, there is a feeling that despite major announcements, the government has been able to reach very little in terms of practical results and reduction of violence.
Let's take a quick peek at sports. Well, Weymouth Wales continued their winning ways to maintain their position at the top of the BFA Premier League tables on 31 points. Playing at the latest game at the Wildy Turf, they were in winner's row over Notre Dame. CBC's Anne-Marie Burke reports on the triple header played.
BDF sports program needed this win to get out of the basement of the tables, but Paradise had a different plan in mind. And it started in the 25th minute when Shamari Harewood pressed forward. He got assistance from Mario Hart and then slotted home. Paradise strike first. BDF, knowing it was a crucial game for them, will surely respond. This is now the 33rd minute of play, and Akeem Ramsey goes down the right and buries it. Things are leveled at 1-1. And that is how the first 45 minutes would end. 3 minutes into the second half, Paradise will go up again. A nice pass finds a running Ronaldo Trim, who gets a powerful left foot to it. Paradise back in control at 2-1. Shortly after, Trim would again find himself in attacking mode, but with the defender heavy on his heels, he taps it off to Harewood for his second of the game and third for Paradise. 3-1 the scoreline. BDF still in the game, and watch this beauty of a free kick that finds the boot of Nicholas Best, make it 2 goals now for the Soldier Boys. But Paradise will make it 1 more for good measure, and just when the keeper thought he had saved it, it bounces by with Armando Lashley having the final touch. Paradise beat the BDF sports program 4-2. The night's second game saw Weymouth Wales in the white-dominated Notre Dame, and it started in the 21st minute of play. The cross comes into Arantes Lawrence, and that's all they needed to stamp authority on the first half. Wales, who are the table leaders, came out in the second with the same fire as the first, and the man with the golden foot was Lawrence again. A second for him and a second for his team. And they will make it a 3-0 victory when in the 74th it was Akil Brathwaite in the right place at the right time to find the back of the net. No denying the Wales team are the top dogs. The night's featured game ended in a deadlock, both teams finding the back of the net once. UW Blackbirds claiming the first goal thanks to Niall Rees-Stephen in the 47th. And then Ellerton's point man Shaquille Bell was the one to level things out. Nicely played with a tip off the upright as it ended at 1-1.
Well, that's it for sports. Time to take a peek at what's happening weather-wise. It definitely is a cloudy day. The barometric pressure stands at 1012.6 millibars. The air temperature 25.5 degrees Celsius. It's 90% humidity outside. And the wind directions are coming out of the east at 14 kilometers per hour. Generally overcast and rainy outside. Sea conditions smooth to moderate in open water with swells ranging from 1 to 2 meters and increasing. As far as your tides are concerned, here's where they will come about today. General forecast for Barbados, mostly cloudy with breaks of sunshine, with the occasional brief scattered light to moderate showers. And into the evening period, what you can expect is pretty much the same, a mix of clear skies and clouds with a few brief scattered light to moderate showers. And that is weather. Our next newscast is Newsday at 12 noon on CBC TV 8, followed by The World at 1 on our radio network of stations 100.7 FM, 98.1 and 94.7 FM. That's the morning report. Morning Barbados starts now.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
For this Tuesday, May 16th, for this Tuesday, certainly not May 16th, May 23rd, I'm Tisha Hines with your presentation of Morning Barbados. So good to have you in company. Welcome to those of you viewing online. If you're watching us on CBC TV 8, it's good to have you with us, or MCTV. Remember to watch and follow us on social media as well. We're on Facebook as well as on YouTube, bringing you all of the action every single day. I certainly hope you had a great evening yesterday. We got some good rain, which is always a good thing for the plants, to get things going, and of course to build up our reservoirs across the island, as we hear that we are low on water, you know. A water scarce country. We never know how, because we're surrounded by water, but we are indeed a water scarce country. So as you move around today and take care of your business around the house or at home, in whatever you do, make sure you remember to conserve water. So we have a wonderful show planned for you today. As always, interesting people. We take you to fantastic places, and we tell you all about the major events that are coming up here in Barbados. We even reach across the region and the diaspora to tell you what's happening with people all across the world. So we are going to be telling you today about the BIDC Farmers Market and Health Fair. Now, Dr. Emma Dash of Live Well Clinic will be here to share more about that, as well as Evie Bentham of Walk Up Workout fame. So we definitely look forward to hearing more about that Farmers Market and Health Fair that's coming up on Sunday, May 28th. We will give you all the details so you understand how you can be a part of it and decide whether it's a right fit for you. Also today on the show, the next chapter, you know, every single week we feature amazing books, not only from Barbadian authors, but from authors all across the world. And we have a very special author who is coming in today. He's written his very first novel. It's called Tales of Diaspora. And we will find out more about that historical romance fiction that is coming up. I had a chance to peek at some of it. I've not been able to finish it, but it definitely is very, very interesting. Plus, again, we're hoping today that we have Serenada and Bamba coming through. They were supposed to be here yesterday. I don't know if it's the rain, but we're hoping that they make it today. We're telling you about Ras I's 40th anniversary and his 60th birthday celebration that's coming up at the end of the week at Kensington Oval. We will give you all the details, tell you about who will be there, how you get your tickets, why you need to go and celebrate with the King of the Road, Ras I. That's right. That's going to be a fantastic concert. And it really has been great to see the stalwarts of Barbadian entertainment. You know, they're getting up in age, but they certainly are continuing to celebrate everything that makes them who they are. And we need to celebrate along with them. Then, of course, we are going to tell you all about what's happening with the wax depictions of CARICOM icons. We have Arthur Edwards, the director of principal sculptor with the Caribbean Wax Museum, coming through to tell us all about the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Barbados and the Caribbean Wax Museum in association with the National Library Service, who will be giving you a big unveiling of a big wax figure of chalk dust. So we want to see and hear more about that, most definitely. Plus, we'll be updating you on what's happening in terms of Socaholics, the Socaholics campaign. We most certainly are leading the charge when it comes to crop over. We want to make sure you are in that fantastic crop over mode. But we're going to get things started this morning with conversations on CARICOM. So let's reach out and say good morning to His Excellency David Comichon, Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Tisha. We want to focus this morning on the Association of Caribbean States. But before doing so, I feel that we need to reflect a little bit on this tremendous tragedy that has befallen the people of Guyana, and by extension, the people of our entire Caribbean community. Of course, I refer to the fire at the Madia Secondary School in Guyana that has claimed the lives of at least 20 young female students. Prime Minister Motley has already written to President Irfan Ali expressing the condolences of the people of Barbados and offering whatever assistance that Barbados can render to Guyana. I have done a similar thing at the ambassadorial level, and this tragedy brings into relief the importance of CARICOM, that at times like this, we are there collectively for any member state that has had this kind of tragedy. So I want to begin this morning by saying that our hearts go out to the people of Guyana, including those many Guyanese who are resident among us here in Barbados.
Indeed.
Yes, well, you know, as I said, I really wanted us to focus on the Association of Caribbean States. You know, I tend to talk a lot about CARICOM, and many Barbadians know that I am Barbados's ambassador to CARICOM. But I'm also Barbados's ambassador to the Association of Caribbean States, which is really the brainchild of CARICOM. It was CARICOM that established the Association of Caribbean States. And CARICOM's bright idea back in the early 1990s was that we needed an organization that brought into its fold all of the countries of Central America and Northern South America that border on the Caribbean Sea. And so we came up with this idea of a wider Association of Caribbean States. The headquarters is in Guyana, is in Trinidad and Tobago, sorry. It is not as substantial an organization as CARICOM. It is set up on a less substantial basis. So, for example, CARICOM has all of these institutions, SEDIMA, CXC, CARFA, etc., etc. The Association of Caribbean States does not have institutions like that. But it does what it does. It brings all these countries of the greater Caribbean together to consult, to cooperate with each other. It has several directorates or departments at the headquarters in Trinidad and Tobago, whether dealing with trade, sustainable development, disaster risk reduction, and so forth. And then corresponding to all of these departments, it has special committees of member states and that correspond to these different departments and spheres of activity. So between the 8th and 12th, 2 weeks ago of May, the Association of Caribbean States had its big ministerial council meeting in Guatemala. That was followed by the big heads of government summit in Guatemala. In fact, we had a week of meetings, and I would just like to give a little report to the Barbadian people, because I did send in a report on the first day of that week, and I indicated that I would come back with a report on what was achieved during that week of meetings, Tisha.
All right, so tell us what happened at the ACS meeting. I know you've been pretty busy because there have indeed been quite a few meetings going on. You're freshly back from the foreign ministers meeting as well. I believe that was in Jamaica when we heard from you and got the report on that. So we're now talking about the ACS Council of Ministers meeting and Heads of Government Summit in Guatemala. Not sure if they were two separate events.
Yes, yes. The council, well, the ACS is really run by a council of ministers. So, you know, member states of the ACS appoint a minister with responsibility. But the highest, above the ministers, the highest decision-making body is really the Summit of Heads of Government. But that only occurs, you know, periodically. So it's the ministers who really run the association. But I can tell you, that Barbados had a small delegation for those series of meetings led by Minister Sandra Husbands, Minister with responsibility for foreign trade, myself, and Foreign Service Officer Disa Lewis. But I can tell you that the achievements were, well, first of all, we confirmed the 2022 to 28 work plan. We did the adoption of the Declaration of Antigua, Guatemala. That's the political declaration where the heads of government state the fundamental things that they're committed to. We identified some 13 concrete projects located within the work plan for which development partners have been identified. So those are the projects that will take forward the work plan. We did the elections to the executive boards of the association, and Barbados features on two. We went up for positions on two of those boards, and I'll just tell you what the executive boards are because that gives you an idea of the structure and the work. So there's a ministerial council, and the ministerial council for the next year is going to be chaired by Suriname. So it's CARICOM's time to chair the ministerial council. Suriname was our candidate. Then there's the Special Committee on Sustainable Tourism. Barbados went up for the post of chairman of that special committee, and we were elected to that post. There's the Special Committee on Disaster Reduction. Barbados went up for the post of vice chair, along with Guyana, two vice chairs, and we were elected to that position. That committee will be chaired by Mexico. There's the Special Committee on Transport, chaired by Martinique. Special Committee on Trade Development, chaired by Colombia. Special Committee on Budget and Administration, that will be chaired by Suriname. Special Committee on Cooperation and Resource Mobilization, chaired by Costa Rica. And then there is the Caribbean Sea Commission, which will be chaired by Cuba. And we are likely to collaborate a lot with Cuba on this because the Caribbean Sea Commission has responsibility for the preservation and the sustainable development of the Caribbean Sea. And since we have responsibility for sustainable development, the two things really go together. Some other important work done was we looked at the budget and the financing of the ACS. The ACS has a perennial problem with budget deficits. As I said, it's not a very big organization. The annual budget is approximately 2.2 million US dollars every year, and that's split among 25 member states and several associate member states. But it does have a perennial deficit problem, and one of the things that the Barbados delegation did at this recent meeting, we proposed to the ACS that perhaps they should attempt to put in place the CARICOM model of financing. The way CARICOM finances its operations is that the majority of the budget comes from the contributions of member states, but there's a minority section of the budget that actually comes from the contributions of donor partners. So we said to the ACS, why don't you search out some donor partners that could help to supplement the contributions of member states? And that was accepted. and has been taken on board. We also, at these meetings, we admitted into observer status the Latin American Development Bank, so they will become a kind of observer organization of the association. And we admitted into social partner status the Pontificia Universidad Católica de Chile, the Catholic University of Chile. So those were some of the, I would say those were the broad achievements. I would have mentioned that that Barbados is going to be paying a lot of attention to the Bridgetown Initiative at that conference, and indeed that is precisely what we did. We put the Bridgetown Initiative into the declaration, and I'll quote to you the paragraph that we put in, and this is the paragraph. It says, "Heads of state and heads of government of the Association of Caribbean States emphasize the imperative of developing a more just, inclusive, and supportive international financial system, and in that context, welcome the Bridgetown Initiative proposed by the government of Barbados as a plan with the potential to significantly redesign the global financial system in order to improve the response to climate crises and to development challenges, thus allowing developing countries in particular to have the fiscal space in order to work towards achieving the sustainable development goals." So our minister, when she spoke, her speech focused a lot on explaining the Bridgetown Initiative and calling upon all of the countries of the Association of Caribbean States to rally behind the Bridgetown Initiative, to promote it, to agitate for it at all of the major international meetings that will be happening this year. Barbados also took the initiative of placing into the declaration of the Association of Caribbean States a call for Cuba to be removed from the US's list of unilaterally imposed list of countries that support terrorism. A really ridiculous thing that the Trump administration did, and we continue to give solidarity with Cuba on this and to call for the removal from the list.
All right, let's double back for a moment. Let's double back to a moment to the Bridgetown Initiative. You talked about Minister Husbands urging Caribbean leaders to support the initiative. How has it been received by Caribbean leaders? What are their feeling generally on the Bridgetown Initiative and how it could benefit the region?
Oh, it's just gaining traction wherever it is being introduced. I think everybody is recognizing that this is the real thing. This is what we have been looking. This kind of project is what we have been searching for a long time. A project that kind of pulls together all of the demands pertaining to the climate crisis, but also to development, to that whole international financial system. And it has dovetailed all of these ideas and made them one coherent whole. And so the Bridgetown Initiative is helping us to see the inequalities and the injustices and the inefficiencies in the system, also to see the interconnectedness, not only between all these issues, but the interconnectedness between all nations and people that inhabit this planet. So the Secretary General of the ACS, Adolfo Sabong, he stressed the Bridgetown Initiative in his speech. The new chair, Suriname, the Foreign Minister of Suriname. I mean, so we heard the word Bridgetown Initiative resound throughout that conference, and so again, I think it's so important that Barbadians be aware that we played a very important role. It's not just a Barbados initiative, but it was crafted right here in Barbados, and it does bear the imprint of some of the Prime Minister Motley, Professor Avinash Prasad, and Prasad and other Barbadian thinkers and policymakers, and we're going to be pushing really hard to get this thing implemented for the benefit of all, not just Barbados, all developing countries, and ultimately for the benefit of the Earth's climate, and to keep that temperature rise to no more than 1.5 degrees increase by the end of this century. The only other thing I could add, Tisha, is that we did identify the various projects that through which we will articulate the work plan. And I mean, these deal from transport, maritime transport, looking at the possibility of a ferry system for the Greater Caribbean. How do we preserve the reefs? How do we regenerate the coral reefs of the Caribbean? Digitization of the Greater Caribbean, maritime transports, a maritime transport and logistics strategy for the Greater Caribbean, trade. How do we strengthen trade? How do we put in place the Caribbean Sea as a special sustainable development zone? The sargassum crisis. That was a big item at the conference. Many member states maintaining that the sargassum problem is now at the level of a crisis or an emergency, and we need to draw the world's attention to this. Meanwhile, we are developing a project led primarily by Guadeloupe and by the Caribbean Sea Commission to look at how, from a scientific level, how do we deal with this sargassum invasion. So Barbados will take responsibility as chair of the Special Committee on Sustainable Development. There are a number of projects having to do with sustainable development, and we will have some responsibility over the next year in managing and leading that process.
Wow, well, congratulations on that. And coming up here on TVA, actually coming out of many of the interviews that we've done here on Morning Barbados, we are looking at some of the effects of climate change directly and indirectly as relates to what we're seeing with the sargassum seaweed, with the Sahara dust, what we're experiencing with the increased presence of mosquito-borne illnesses here in Barbados, and other such things that obviously are directly or sometimes indirectly related to the matters of climate change. So congratulations on ascending to that place within the ACS, and we most certainly believe that you will continue to share the most on all of the topics that are truly relevant to not only Barbados but the region. So again, congratulations, and we'd like to thank you for coming through all the time and sharing. I'm a little curious about something that's not necessarily on the agenda, but that most certainly has been coming up quite a lot. I'm interested to find out the place that intra-regional travel takes in many of these meetings, because it feels as though we talk about intra-regional travel so much, but there are no, pardon the pun, inroads a lot of the times in terms of whether it's reasonably cost flights. I heard you mention the ferry service a moment ago, and we never feel like there's anything truly happening in terms of travel. I would love to be able to jump on a ferry or just be able to get on a flight that is reasonably priced and move across the Caribbean region. And there's so many of the people who I know would love that as well. So it feels sometimes like it's strictly lip service, and then we don't see anything happening. So what place does travel take, intra-regional travel specifically, in these meetings?
No, well, every meeting is definitely concerned with intra-regional travel. You know, to some extent, we only have ourselves to blame, because we have airlines that we have not nurtured the way we should have. Look We had Liat. Look what we did to Liat, and several member states really did not support Liat in the way that they really should. Barbados and St. Vincent, especially, were left carrying most of the burden. And we had the Caribbean Shipping Corporation. We had 2 ships. We failed to nurture and preserve that CARICOM shipping company, and now we are we are now scrambling to see how we can put maritime transportation. We can build it up. We are looking at a ferry service. So these are things both CARICOM and the ACS is grappling with these matters. We felt in CARICOM that we were going to make rapid progress in putting a ferry system in place, but we knew that we needed private sector investment. But the COVID came along, and COVID kind of disrupted a lot of the efforts that were being made. But the efforts are still on track to deliver a ferry service to CARICOM member states. As you heard from what I read out, the ACS also has a project, and there were representatives from the World Bank and the Inter-American Development Bank at the meetings in Guatemala, speaking directly to this issue of maritime transportation in the Greater Caribbean and the possibilities of a ferry service. So these are things that are being worked on, Tisha. But they are very difficult issues because whether you talk a ferry service, you talk a new regional airline, they're going to call for major investment at a time when our governments are really cash strapped. Our governments coming out of the COVID are dealing with debt. But everybody recognizes it's a crisis. I mean, for us to go to Jamaica from Barbados, we had to go through Miami, and from Miami then to Jamaica. You spend a whole day traveling just to get from one CARICOM country to another. So that is really untenable. But I can assure you that it is on the minds of all of our governmental policy workers, and they are actively working on it. But it is about identifying private sector investment that is willing to come and help hold up some of that financial weight.
Yeah, I certainly hope that I think it's time for us to shift conversations on CARICOM to its own presentation. There's so much to talk about when we talk about CARICOM and all that's happening across the region. I mean, in conversations with the airlines themselves, many of them have said over the years that their fees weren't really the problem that made the fees to travel across the region so high. They've said it's the fees that are put out by the various countries that really pushed up the cost of travel and things of that nature. So, I mean, there's so much for us to get to. But we certainly appreciate you reporting to us what's happening across the region and how you are representing for Barbados and the region. Exactly where you started is where we'd like to leave this conversation, with our thoughts and prayers going out to our Guyanese friends and neighbors at this time, particularly the Guyanese who are here in Barbados, and by extension, family in Guyana. It truly is a heart-wrenching situation that has happened.
Yes, thank you. I agree. We should end on that note. Our deepest sympathy and solidarity with the people of Guyana.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Kamashong. Always wonderful to speak with you. And of course, we have conversations on CARICOM each and every Tuesday morning right here on Morning Barbados. Well, we're going to get ready to give you an update of the news at this time. Stay with us.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Time now for an update of the news. As the June 1st deadline for the United States to avoid defaulting on its trillion-dollar debt draws near, experts say that the country's failure to act will spell economic disaster for the global economy. Professor Justin Robinson, Pro-Vice Chancellor of the Board of Undergraduate Studies at the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill campus, says a U.S. default would reverberate through the global financial market and negatively impact Barbados.
There's a real threat that the U.S. can default on its government bonds and government securities. And that's where we're going to see the most immediate impact on Barbados if that were to happen. Because U.S. government assets are central to the global financial system. They are currently seen as the safest asset in the world. So if they default on those assets, then there's going to be a knock-on effect. And we're going to see a spike. If it happens, we would see a spike in global interest rates, and we already saw that effect discussed weeks ago. And importantly for us, the value of U.S. government bonds can decline, and much of the vast majority of Barbados government's foreign exchange reserves are held in U.S. dollar assets. So we could see a significant diminution in the market value of our foreign exchange reserves. We could see a spike in global interest rates, which then enhances the potential for a major global economic recession with all of those negative consequences for us.
Meanwhile, Professor Robinson says the recent IMF review of Barbados is good news.
It reinforces the notion that we are having a strong post-COVID recovery. And I certainly would want to commend the government on the outstanding job it's doing in managing the public finances, because the IMF targets and the IMF report is really based heavily on how well the government is managing its public finances. And the government has done an outstanding job of those finances and really managing a significant recovery in those finances since they've been in government in 2018. And that strength in the public finances provides a solid platform for other aspects of economic growth. So I think it's quite good news and important news.
As Guyana continues to experience a period of national mourning following the deadly fire that took the lives of 19 children, much of the attention has started to shift to the cause of the blaze and finding those responsible, as initial investigations have suggested it was maliciously set. The revelation came during a media conference held yesterday to give an update on the fire. A representative from the Guyana Fire Service says fire officials were swift to respond to the deadly blaze, getting to the scene in about 4 minutes. But on arrival, the building was already engulfed in flames.
Approximately 3.5 hours after which brought the fire under control and subsequently extinguished same. The initial investigation by the fire service identified that the fire was maliciously set. Also, the point of origin was identified to the southwestern end of the building. After we would have completed our initial investigation, the scene was handed over to the Guyana Police Force.
And Guyana Police also gave an update from their end.
Initial investigation suggests, like was reported from fire, that it was maliciously set, and so our investigation is continuing. I must say this though, DNA tests will be done with the 13 remaining bodies expeditiously. We have completed the postmortem on 6 of the bodies. I want to reiterate, on behalf of the force, my condolences going out to the family. We will conclude this investigation swiftly.
And that's our update of news at this hour. We have Newsdays coming your way at 12 noon and The World at 1 on our radio services, 100.7 FM, 94.7 FM, and 98.1 The One at 1 p.m. Morning Barbados continues after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Max Pack Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for a new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
9 minutes now after 7 o'clock. Good morning to you on this drizzly. Can I describe it as a drizzly day? Definitely just drizzles, you know. It's one of those days where it's not necessarily raining heavily in this part of the island, most certainly. But I have to say a special good morning to those of you up north, because you had some serious flooding yesterday in Speightstown, and I understand there was a lot of flooding in some areas of St. Lucie as well as all the way up through to whole town. So let's hope that we don't have all of that flooding again today. Now, there will be the unveil of a number of wax depictions of some Caribbean icons that we want to tell you all about this morning. So we're inviting Arthur Edwards, the principal or director or principal sculptor at the Caribbean Wax Museum, to join us to tell us more about what's happening with these depictions. Good morning to you, sir.
Hey, good morning.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. Now we understand there will be a number of new depictions that will join the ranks of what's being offered through the Caribbean Wax Museum. So let's start by telling us what's already or who already is depicted as a part of the Caribbean Wax Museum, some of the major faces that we'd be able to see? Oh boy, we're having a bit of a technical challenge.
Can
okay,
you hear me,
you're
James?
back there. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, we have taken it onto ourselves to depict outstanding Caribbean icons in a way that apparently only we can. And they all seem to recognize and these depictions will be of the mighty chalk dust. We tend not to use countries because we really don't recognize flags. We see the Caribbean region as one jurisdiction. And Ras, the mighty chalk dust, and Wendy 1998 Miss Universe will be flying in for the event. The mighty chalk dust would have been here as well because he was to have visited with Ras I, but his health is not as good as it could be, and we are wishing for him the best. He, of course, will zoom into the event. We do have a couple of officials from that parish of the region, their director of culture, and hopefully their prime minister will also be part of the proceedings. It is good that that individuals throughout the region recognize what we are doing, and all I have to do is call them and say, you know, we are doing you next, and they are all on board. They give us their clothing, which helps to authenticate the piece, and now it seems as if they're prepared to come to Barbados to be part of the event. So I think that after 6 years of doing this, without any support, we are actually getting somewhere in terms of recognition. Does that help to answer some of your questions?
Absolutely. So as director and principal sculptor, tell us a little bit more outside of getting the clothes of those people who you are working on sculpting. What are some of the other areas that you have to delve into, the types of research you have to do and so on to be able to get these pieces created?
Well, yeah, we do. Madame Tussaud, who is the world leader at this kind of thing, they normally would have the individuals sit and pose, and then they will take all number of measurements and so on. We don't have that luxury, so we have to research all manner of photographs over about 40 years of, depending on the individual, 40 years of age, as well as expressions and stuff, and use a little bit of guesswork here and there to try to come together with a composite that closely resembles the individuals that we try to depict. That gives us an advantage because, well, over Madame Tussaud, certainly because they do measurements from the real figure, but we have had over the years to build up a kind of skill set that allows us to use these photographs that are so different, but yet still come with a final product that resembles the subject that we were seeking to depict, that we seek to depict. So that means that when it comes to individuals who are no longer with us, like our next selection, who would be Black Stallion, who comes from the same parish of the Caribbean as Wendy Fitzwilliam and Chalk Dust, and indeed my favorite Prime Minister, Mr. Bishop, Maurice Bishop, from another parish of the Caribbean. Those individuals, again, we can do them because we don't need to have them pose for us. We just use the pictures that are available, and that the family members would have sent some of these pictures, but probably would never have been seen by other people other than ourselves, which is important because even the family members of the surviving individuals, of the individuals who have not survived, are prepared to help us with this. So irrespective of our ability to attract support of any kind, we still are able to attract the well-meaning responses of the individuals that are and their families are involved with this event. this type
All right.
of
How do you
work.
determine who you will seek to depict next? Sounds
I
like
knew
there
you
are
were
quite a few
going
people
after
coming
that.
from that particular parish of the Caribbean.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of Jamaicans at one point as well. And to be honest with you, the individuals from that part of the Caribbean have been very. I grew up with them. I mean, I didn't grow up with them as school. I grew up with their music and their influence, and they have formed a very important part of my upbringing and my appreciation of the region at that stage of my development. And this is some way, I'm paying back. There are individuals that I have spoken to or I've called last year, and I've had difficulty with getting through to them, or getting the kind of response that I would like from their support people. But those efforts remain. But of course, with these present two, there was absolutely no doubt about their desire to participate, and even with Black Stallion, no problem. Just wait until things get better and that kind of thing. But as I've said to them, I would rather be part of their experience while they are still with us, as opposed to paying some kind of posthumous kind of
homage.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
That's the thing.
We get it. So let's talk about the actual unveiling of the wax depiction, the wax depictions of these two Caribbean icons, Chalk Dust. I'm indeed very, very intrigued and excited to see the finished products. And Miss Universe 1998, Wendy Fitzwilliam, tell us about the actual event. You said that Chalk Dust, owing to health concerns, will not be able to be here in the flesh, but he will zoom in of sorts. And then I'm assuming then that Wendy Fitzwilliam will be here for the unveiling?
Yeah, she travels back and forward to Barbados. And she most definitely will be here. And I hope that this trend of being present in the flesh when it is possible continues. Yes, she most certainly will be here. I believe maybe even a family member or two. And that will lend quite a bit of gravitas to the occasion. She's actually donating the dress that she won Miss Trinidad and Tobago, and the sash that was part of her outfit with Miss Universe. And that will be part of the depiction, and that remains with the Caribbean Wax Museum for all time. The Mighty Chalk Dust will send something, but we will have him obviously clothed for the event. But he too has his agent has said that they will send over some attire. And we hope that trend continues. They're not the first to have done so, but they are so enthusiastic. The level of enthusiasm with being part of this campaign, I think, is really what Francis and myself as artists need to keep us, relevant. Because it's an inspirational thing, and hopefully one day it will pay in terms of the kind of supermarket requirements. But for the moment, the repayment has only been with the pleasure that we give individuals, knowing that our skill set is something that is important to them.
All right, so the National Library Service, Fairchild Street in Bridgetown, Saturday, May 27th, from 7 to 9 p.m. Can people just come out and be a part of it? Do they need to get tickets? Do they need to call and register? What's the process?
No. This is a private event. When these guests, we have Trinidad and Tobago Association people, some people that I know and stuff, because the idea is it will be on film. And the film, we will have an edited version that we do intend to promote this type of event in Trinidad and Tobago and in other parishes of the region. That's what we would require, the type of financing to do, because we can put on events, but when it comes to marketing and advertising, even to go on CBC, I really appreciate being here. I'm not paying for this, I'm glad, but CBC is not cheap, and And it's likewise a very similar situation in Trinidad and Tobago. So unless we
All
get the
right.
support, all of these are supposed to be media events. We have our own camera, people doing filming and
Okay.
stuff. CBC, we will obviously give the footage to CBC to do their bit. But
Well, we will
yeah, I
certainly
hope
do our
that CBC
part
does.
and make sure that we bring the coverage to our viewers. Thank you so much for being a part of it. And
Yeah.
thank you for the work that you're doing as well. All the best on this launch.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
All right, we're going to take another break here and come on back and tell you all about a health fair that you should be a part of. That's all next. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So the time has quickly moved on to 23 minutes after 7 o'clock. Good to have you in company. I certainly hope you're not getting any of those showers if you don't want them, because some people are just fine getting some of the drizzles when they head out. Not too much, though. We don't want you to get sick, especially now that there's so much flying around. And speaking of health and wellness, perfect time for us to welcome Dr. Emma Dash to the Morning Barbados couch. She is here to tell us all about the BIDC Farmers Market and Health Fair that's coming up. Good morning to you, Dr. Dash.
Good morning. So this is on Sunday, 7 a.m. till 11 a.m. I'm the newest tenant at Pelican Village, and this health fair we're offering free blood pressure, free blood sugar, free cholesterol checks. It's all in trying to combat these NCDs, non-communicable diseases, through lifestyle change.
A few fitness classes by way of the workout sessions as a part of this Farmers Market and Health Fair presentation.
That's correct, Tisha. I was so excited when I was asked to be a part of this Farmers Market. And let me tell you, we're going to make it an exciting and hype event to launch the inaugural Pelican Center experience that's going to be going on this Sunday on the 28th.
All right, now Dr. Dash, tell me, why do you think it's timely for us to have this? We just had the launch of the nutrition policy in schools. We've been talking for a long time about NCDs. We just had the launch of the NCD Commission on World Hypertension Day. Why do you think it's necessary to get people out all over again? Seems like we're sharing, yes, but are we connecting as people move around to be able to get them to see the importance of really taking care of their health?
Yes, I believe we are connecting. This is urgent. Like, we have to do something now, or the ramifications are terrible, and we're already seeing them with chronic kidney disease and dialysis, amputations, people becoming medically unfit. The upward trajectory is enormous, and we need to do something as soon as possible.
All right.
We all have to come together.
Do you think that events like this, where people are able to come out in a more casual setting, more so than coming into a clinic, I don't know what your experience is like, but when people come in, usually it's because they're not feeling well. There's still very few people who are taking that proactive approach to their health, making sure that they get their yearly checkups. Usually when people come in, they are ill. Or are you seeing a shift in people taking that forward look at what's happening with them health-wise and making a move to take care of themselves before they feel a pain somewhere or before there's a sign of some NCD or something of a sort?
I'm definitely seeing a shift, especially for diabetes, high blood pressure. People come just to check their sugar because they knew a family member had high sugar or they've had weight gain. Also with colon cancer, people are coming in saying they want to get checked for that. Breast cancer, Dr. Stephanie Date's doing a great job with promoting the Breast Cancer Society. People are coming in all the time saying, I want my mammogram, do I need an ultrasound for my breast, etc. So I think we're making a difference, and everyone working together, we can make a big difference.
Well, when we're talking about health and wellness, we know that taking care of yourself really starts, it's a circle, it's a cycle, but exercise is a big part of it as well. Are you experiencing this shift as well? I know that usually coming up to crop over time, the gyms would report that they see a whole lot more people getting ready, but outside of that, are Barbadians truly taking a more proactive approach by way of getting into the gyms, working out more, taking a hands-on approach when it comes to their health and wellness, from your perspective?
Well, Tisha, I think definitely folks want to do it for the vanity, right? Crop over is going to be coming up. The different carnivals around the region, throughout the year. People want to look good, right? And for most folks, it's a vanity thing. I think that the older people get, the more they realize that this is something that, I no longer need to be doing for vanity, but I need to be doing this for longevity, right? And the more that you come and see fitness professionals like myself and the other ones out there, the less that you have to see your doctors, because it's a very preventative and proactive thing that you're doing when you take charge of your health and fitness journey, right? I like to think of it as there's this continuum between health, fitness, and wellness, right? And you want to be on the more fitness side of the continuum than just being generally healthy, right? Basic health is okay, but you don't just want to be okay. You want to be on the continuum where you're fit, so that any decline from there would be, oh yeah, I'm just healthy. If you understand what I'm saying.
All right, I get you. So you definitely need to tie all of it together and make sure that you are in a state of fitness, not just simply looking at one over the other, because they all go together. I get you. I understand what you're saying.
The fit you are, the downside from that is just being healthy, right? Like if you're healthy, the downside from that is sickness. Is where I'm trying to go. So if you're all right, I'm just at the right body weight, or I'm barely my blood sugar is just where it needs to be. Any decline from there, you're into sickness, right? But if you're fit, then a decline from there is, all right, yeah, then the worst case scenario for me is I'm going to just be baseline healthy.
Yeah, well, the unfortunate thing about
sickness end of the continuum.
Okay, well, the unfortunate thing about it is there are not a lot of people who have a point of reference. So we definitely need to work on that, because once you have a point of reference and you have been fit and you know what your body feels like when it's fit as compared to when it is not, then you definitely know what the difference is and what a major difference it makes to your life.
Yeah, it feels wonderful to be fit. It's just, you wake up with energy and wake up with vibrance and you're ready to attack the day versus, it's Monday or it's Tuesday and another day. No, you need to be able to attack the day and approach life with that sense of vigor, feeling that you can accomplish anything and you can get things done, right? And you can feel the energy coming from myself as well as Dr. Dash, and you can tell that we're both on the same page when it comes to harnessing that energy and moving the people to a point where they can take charge of their own health and fitness and not just let it happen to them and just not let it decline to a point where they're sick and now have to be going to a doctor to have them tell them, hey, listen, no, you need to take this medication, or you need to be exercising, or you are going to die. And that's really where we're trying to get people.
All right, excellent, Dr. Dash. I know that we speak generally, like we said before, about NCDs. We talk about these things a lot. Sometimes it goes over people's heads. From your perspective, what are some of the real areas that we need to hone in on to be able to get people to pay more attention to what's happening with their lives?
Diabetes. 1 in 5 Barbadian adults have diabetes. That's astronomical. We have to do something. Our diets are crazy, like from children all the way up. And if you grow up having soft drinks for breakfast and your snacks, that you're going to go into adult and you're going to think it's normal, right? So we have to start with our education in schools, target our vulnerable communities. Education, education, education is what we really have to do.
For sure. It's good to see that you're a part of the family at Pelican Center because there's so much there, and I think we miss so much as Barbadians. I think a lot of Barbadians see Pelican as maybe a tourist stop, a place for people who are coming from the cruise ship to make a stop as they pass by, or only for craft. So it's good to see that they have a healthcare professional as a part of the Pelican lineup. So again, the Farmers Market and Health Fair comes off on Sunday, May 28th from 7 in the morning.
Yes.
And it goes to 11.
Yes.
And we want to remind you of all of those health checks that will be happening at shop number 18. Yes. That's where you're located with the Live Well Clinic. So free blood pressure and blood sugar checks all day long. I'm going to give you an opportunity to say to Barbadians why you believe they definitely should come out and be a part of this presentation.
It's free. It's good to get a baseline of your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your cholesterol. Best to come fasted if you want really good readings and accurate readings for your fasting blood sugar and cholesterol. And yeah, let's start. Let's get moving.
All right, that definitely is a good move to action. I want to thank you so much for coming in, Dr. Emma Dash. Say hi to the family. The family is definitely a CBC family by way of Lily and your mom. So it's wonderful to see you. And they want to make sure that you come out this weekend. Final word for you, Evie, as to why everybody should come out and be a part of this Farmers Market and Health Fair coming up on Sunday, May 28th.
Well, of course, for me, I like to tell people all the time, you don't see people vexed and walking up. Usually people dancing are enjoying themselves and they're happy and they're just expressing themselves in a way that improves your whole sense of well-being. And I think that if you could come out Sunday and turn some pooch and walk up, you will feel better. You will feel better, not just balance to the day. That will start your week, right? And that will help you portend more good things to come that week. So yes, come out and turn some pooch, walk up with us, and as well as patronize some of the other things that are going to be at the farmers market. It's going to be awesome, people. Trust me. I wouldn't steer you wrong.
All right, good stuff. Thank you so much, Evie Bentham, who is of Walk Up Workout fame. Of course, he's a fitness professional. Dr. Emma Dash is also with us of the Live Well Clinic. They're now a part of the Pelican Craft Village. Well, the name has now been changed. I know there will be lots of changes coming to Pelican as well, but the Live Well Clinic is their newest tenant. They're now located at shop number 18. And coming up on Sunday, you can look out for free blood pressure and blood sugar checks. And a lot of walking up. I'll put it that way, Evie. So thank you for the encouragement for people to come out. Special thanks to both of you. We're going to take another break and come on back as we get into our book segment. That's next.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Max Pack Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for our new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
Farstine Mokwe is joining us this morning for the next chapter, talking to us all about his latest first novel, really. It is called Tales of Diaspora, and he's here to talk to us all about this historical romance fiction that follows the life of, someone who went down to Jamaica. It's an entire presentation that people love to hear about that involves the Caribbean. You know what happens when you come to the Caribbean, of course, you fall in love. So good morning and welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Tisha.
Good morning.
Can you hear me well?
You're welcome. Tell me
about this is a copy of my book.
It's gorgeous.
So
tell me about what
see.
first drove you to actually write a novel, because it's one thing a lot of people, they have ideas floating around in their heads, but to actually get it down and get your novel out, what was the process like?
Well, for me, I've always had the passion for writing. So usually I write short stuff on my Facebook, on my social media. So I have like a little audience of friends and family. So I remember in 2017 or so, I did like a short poem, a short story for a slave being taken to Jamaica. It got interested of a lot of my friends, both people in Britain, in the Caribbean, like folks like yourself. People in Africa, they were interested in that tale. And I really wanted to read up something contemporary about the transatlantic slave trade. And I couldn't come upon anything. So I decided upon myself, since I have this passion and hobby for writing, I would direct it and put it into something useful, such as telling a story about the transatlantic slave trade, since I've never come upon something like that. That is contemporary, telling from an African background, how that time, place in history that is important, not just to us Africans, not just to folks like yourself in the Caribbean, but to folks all over the world, because it affected the entire world as it is.
All right, so tell me about the story specifically. Is it something that came to you over a series of months or weeks or years? Because the story explores quite a bit. There's a lot of Africa interspersed. There's some background on the transatlantic slave trade in that era, like you talked about. It even explores some esoteric themes like the afterlife and things of that nature. So tell me about how it came to you and how it unfolded.
So, majorly the main plot and theme for the story had come to me in my sleep, which I've actually created the short story about on Facebook for my friends to engage with. So just as you had said, there are a lot of esoteric background within the story, because a lot of the theme has actually come to me from my sleep. So I believe from the spiritual realm, from the other realm, so to speak, since that story had come to me in my sleep, in my dream. So from there, I began to elaborate. I know a lot of the history of the transatlantic slave trade. Luckily for me, I was born and brought up in Nigeria, so getting to these landmarks and points in Africa was not much of a big deal. They're just, should I say, almost a stone throw away to speak from my own background. So learning about the history, both from reality and from what I could garner online, I decided to twist a tale, not just around the esoteric themes, but about love and about true historical facts. Tales of Diaspora is also speaking about my own history of my own hometown, Ila, in Western Igbo land. So it's almost me telling my own story, but in a fictional format. So it interplays with a lot of themes, all of them very important to me. Dreams, love, the afterlife, the African beliefs, and the African spirituality, so to speak.
How difficult was it to move from getting this story, which was in your dreams, down onto paper or digitally, and then to get it published? Because some first-time publishers, they would tell you it's so difficult to actually get your books published. A lot of people go into self-publication. These days it's a lot easier with the advent of the internet. But what was the process like for you?
Luckily for me also, since I've always had the passion for writing through my social media handles, I've almost had like a following, and a lot of them also the literary persons. My publisher, Tamarind Hill Press, I and the publisher were friends on Facebook years back. So she had always been reading up my stuff, always been interested with the sort of stuff and themes I like to write about. So I had written Tales of Judah for the manuscript in 2020 at the very start of the corona pandemic. So having that time to sit down, then I was working in a farm in Owo in Nigeria, one of the largest private farms in southwestern Nigeria. So having all that time, all that peace, being in natural environment, being in the heart of Africa, so to speak, I was able to fine-tune my time into telling the story from my dreams, how they have come to me. It wasn't much difficult for me, so to say, since I always have the literary audience listening to me. So when I reached out to my publisher, that's Tamarind Hill Press in the UK, they were very interested in the story. Luckily, my editor is from Jamaica. I've never been to Jamaica. I've never been to the Caribbean at all. So having someone from that part of the world to help direct the storytelling was very, very important. And as the readers will come to see, they'll see how important it was in the masterpiece that Tales of Judah is.
Oh, well, that's absolutely wonderful.
I did, just like for being a debut publisher, being my first work, I'd actually reached out to, because I didn't want to publish here in Nigeria since my target audience are not Nigerians per se. I wanted folks, Africans in diaspora, because Tales of Judah is my own outreach of bringing Caribbean folks like yourself, Black British people, African Americans, wherever they are, Afro-Brazilians, bringing them back home to the continent of Africa. So I'd sent out a lot of queries here and there, probably as much as 100 or so. But when I had reached out to my friend, who is the CEO of Tamarind Hill Press, I was very shocked because I didn't know that she was a publisher. So getting to speak to her, since she's a publisher, she published my work for me under her press, Tamarind Hill Press. And I was lucky enough, she's Jamaican.
All right, tell us where we can find your book. I see that you had a hard copy, but I would imagine it's also available digitally and online.
Yes, it's available on all the major platforms, on Amazon, on eBay, on Barnes & Noble, on Kobo, on Walmart even, on all of the major platforms where people get their work from. Just Google up Tales of Judah and you find up all of the platforms where you could read it.
What has the response been like what has the response been like to the book at home, to people close to you and people from where you're from? What has been their response to the book?
Very nice, very nice. Some weeks ago, I actually got to meet with the High Commissioner, the Jamaican High Commissioner to Nigeria in Abuja. So the reception was very, very nice. The book actually was built up from a short story that I had put in for Goge Africa. A few of you may know Goge Africa is a TV show in Nigeria, a tourism TV show. So they did a short competition in 2020. I participated with a story of the same name, Tales of Judah. So I have expanded this actual novel from the short story of 3 years ago.
All right, I want to thank you for coming through and sharing your book with us. We definitely, I have the digital link, so I've been able to read a bit of it, but I only got it yesterday. So I'm going to read it through, and I promise that we're going to reach out again once I get through the entire book so that we can truly delve into it. Thank you, and best wishes in getting your book out there. We certainly look forward to more in future.
Thank you. Very pleased to be here. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take another break and come on back. It's 15 minutes to 8 o'clock here on Morning Barbados. Stay with us.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So we're talking about Ras I and Friends' 40th anniversary and 60th birthday celebration. It's going to be a celebration indeed. I have two veterans here sitting down with me. I feel like I grew up watching these gentlemen on the stage and on my television, and it is such an honor to have Brian Bumba Payne and Serenada in studio with us this morning, representing for the Isle. Good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Barbados. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Barbados.
All right, it must feel like surreal to be able to represent in this way for Ras I. Serenada, I want to start with you. Take us back to the early years. You guys made your foray into music pretty much around in the same decade. So, you know, you've all come through the ranks together. What does it feel like, mean to you to be able to be here at this point and celebrating with Isle? Because it really is a celebration of all of you.
Yep. Well, to be honest, I'm happy to be giving Ras I some of my time, you know, because that is something that he does for me regular. Ras I do not forget me. You know, myself and Ras I, we perform many places together. You know, I'm not the kind of entertainer that if I perform for they come and put it in the papers, or nothing like that, you know. But we agree good, we perform together good, you know, and I'm happy to be doing it for him. But I was performing, could be about, don't ask me how old I am. I was performing for Ras I about for about 15 years before Ras I came on scene.
Wow.
About 10 or 15 years before Ras I really came on scene.
Well, you really shouldn't have prefaced that statement with "Don't ask me how old I am," because
you're
celebrating a 60th anniversary and 40 years in the business. So for anybody who can count, Bumba, I mean, you know, we're talking about it. But I will say, you don't look a day over 50. How's that?
Yeah.
That works?
Thanks.
What about you, Bumba?
Boy, that's a compliment, boy.
I really miss you guys from the stage. I cannot wait to see you guys on stage performing for this event.
Well, for sure. When Ras I called and said, Bumba, I would like you to be on my show, my anniversary show, I felt honored because, as you know, Ras I is a stalwart, not only in Barbados and the Caribbean, but the entire diaspora. And he's Mr. Energy himself. I go back many years performing with Ras I in the Untouchables tent. You know, that was a big tent. Now people always coming out. And Ras I, he was always the man to end the show. When Ras I, because he always had hit after hit. And when the show, he's the last performer. And every Untouchables tent will end up like in a party atmosphere, encore after encore. So you can understand what's gonna happen coming Sunday when Ras I hit that show.
I mean,
that stage, right?
Yeah.
And as they say, it's an honor for all of us to be there with him celebrating.
Absolutely. What are you looking forward to most? I don't want to let anything out of the bag, but Sari, when you talk about your own repertoire, you know, how are you determining what's on this set list for you? Because I'm ready to break down and one step forward and two back and all of that with you.
Right, all of that is still there. Ras I remind me. Topless and bottom out too here.
Topless and bottom out? All right.
You gotta have that.
You said it must have
big
that.
hit from last year, boy.
Yeah, so I said no problem baby with me, bro. I'll do it.
All right. All the steel has to be in there too. What about you, Bamba?
Well, you know, a show like that, you would want some surprises. So you wouldn't necessarily come out and say all that you will be doing, but
I was hoping.
But when you come on Sunday, you would see and hear, right? But for sure, Ras I said, Bamba, you know, he told me, for sure you gotta do they want to know. And any others that you gotta do, right? And then of course, when the ads started to come out, people will be meeting me, Bamba, you gotta do this, and you gotta do that, and I won't hear this one. But you know you can't do all, right? But I have chosen the songs that I'm going to do. It'll be a mixture of, let's say, social commentary and the faster party songs.
Yeah, I think it will be a great celebration all around. And it's wonderful that he really reached out to the entire fraternity to be a part of it. Because without each other, you really are nothing. You guys really built on this legacy together. And it's important that you support each other, and I'm happy. You know, people always talk about the camaraderie that we see in the Barbadian music fraternity, and it's wonderful to see that you guys are setting the tone for those who have come after you and the ones who will come after as to how you truly should support each other. So looking forward to seeing you on the stage on Sunday. Any final words in terms of encouraging Bajans to come out and support?
For sure. It can be a big show. I made sure you have the box offices here.
Not a list in this pocket.
Yeah, because I want to encourage everyone to come out to this show, right? It can be big, because you know, Ras I went Trinidad, right? You get enough ammunition to bring here, and then you look at Barbados and pick out more ammunition, and you know when you put ammunition and ammunition together, there's a big musical explosion there, then we can sit over, right?
All right, tell you what, you hold on to those box offices, and he has it written on, as we say in Bridgetown, on a butt leaf. All right, so we're going to say goodbye to you, Sari.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for coming through. And we have another surprise person to pop in who's also going to be a part of this big presentation on Sunday. That's all coming up next. Stay with us.
Got something on the way. Soca icon Ras I is celebrating his 60th birthday and 40th anniversary in music on May 28th at Kensington Oval. As CBC celebrates its 60th year in 2023, we are excited to celebrate with Ras I.
Look and see how the band's coming, see how the music cooking, can't you see how the street boiling, on the street the doom and morning, that is where the music cooking, them heading for spring garden, everybody! From the jam.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Oh, he shuffled in definitely to join us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you also.
It's so good to have you with us, and it's so wonderful to see all of your faces. I'm sure you know that's not just a superficial thing. So it's good to have you with us as well and a part of the cast for Sunday. Talk to us about how things are shaping up in terms of preparation.
Basically, when Ras called me and he asked me if I would perform, I said, you don't have to ask me. Just tell me when to come. Because when I'm with the oldsters like Bumba, Serenade, the Gabbers and all, there's a feeling that all the memories of how we, many years ago, we performed together, everything comes back. And backstage is something else. Gabby gets there, tell all lies, including Bumba. and so you enjoy yourself immensely. And then the performances, when one person go in and put down that very good performance, as I know you will have from all of us, you sort of said like great. So the feeling is a type of happiness that you really and truly you won't forget it.
Bamba, your favorites from Pompey, because I think a lot of the times we forget that we're also fans of the other person. So even though there have been competitions through the years, these are songs that we grew up with, songs that have really shaped who we are, songs that really document what has happened through time in Barbados. And you gentlemen have been at the forefront of all of that. So kudos to all of you. Looking forward to what's coming up on Sunday.
Yeah.
Now, what's on that but Lee?
Well, you know, Pompey had so many hits, and you can't forget the vampire, right? You do the mini bus.
Well, one of the songs I've been asked to do is the Mini Bus Man, and then there are two other songs that everywhere you go, people sing. Ask me to sing. As a matter of fact, I went to St. James Secondary School last week Friday, and the teacher brought me inside the room and made me sing a verse of a song for him.
It's one you want, but
Mini Bus, yes, and all the
they're big hits, man.
I said, and the strange thing about it, that these are all young people.
Yeah,
very much young people. And a matter of fact, I started singing CARICOM in 1981. And I think at that time, Bag came in there. Bag 81. Bag came in 82, yeah.
Yeah, he used to sing.
He used to sing and sing. Yes. So all of us really and truly, the years that it's not very far apart in terms of the time that we spent in the art form.
I think it's going to be equally as important to capture what's happening backstage as it will be to capture what's happening on stage, because I think the real action is going to happen backstage,
you should do
like you hinted. Bamba, what's on this book leaf now?
Man, this leaf's got so much information, so let me start, right? Ticket box offices. For those who have not bought tickets as yet, right? These are the many choices that you have. CS Pharmacy, Broad Street. Emerald City, 6 Roads, Carlton Supermarket, Black Rock, Smart Store, Lime Grove, and Welch's. New Look Boutique, Robert Street, Digicel, Sky Mall, Lucky Horseshoe, Warren City Center, and Worthing, Abbeville, Rockley, Saul, Warrens, and Wildy, on all ticket pal locations.
Yes, you got everything.
I got everything.
Yes.
Right? I got an excuse because right, don't say, oh man, the show can go on too late and they go to sleep, because the next day is a bank holiday. Right. So you can come out, party, have fun,
sleep all
go home and sleep and relax the next day.
Absolutely.
So come out, we're encouraging everyone to come and support.
A lot of us need the bank holiday the next day.
Yeah.
After all the breaking down and all of this, we definitely will need the bank holiday the next day. Yeah. We certainly look forward to it. Eiley, I know this is a lot of work. It's wonderful that you've brought these great people together. Sari, thank you for coming through. Serenada, thank you so much. Pompey, thank you so much as well. Bamba.
I should mention quickly this time, some of the performers, of course, remind people.
We have the ad coming up.
You got the ad?
Yeah, we tell
right.
people. So let's take a break and come back.
Soca icon Ras I is celebrating his 60th birthday and 40th anniversary in music on May 28th at Kensington Oval. As CBC celebrates its 60th year in 2023, we are excited to celebrate with Ras I.
Look and see how the band's coming, see how the music cooking, and to see how the street boiling, and the street the doom and morning. That is where the music cooking, them heading for spring garden. Everybody from the region.
Oh yeah, truly celebrating Ras I, Mr. Energy himself. Again, thanks so much to Serenader. Thanks so much to Pompey. Thanks so much to Brian Bumba Payne for coming in with us this morning. I wish we had a whole lot more time with them. But make sure you go on out and get your tickets. That's it from us for today. See you again tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day, everyone.
Barbados, good morning to you.